Walk through Portland's Old Port long enough and you'll start to see the layers. A working waterfront, a summer destination, tourists, restaurants, storefronts that come and go. But tucked in between it all, there's something else. A subculture that's been here the whole time. That's where you'll find Mocean Skateboards. Since 2017, it's been more than just a shop. It's a reflection of the people inside, their style, their taste, the culture they bring with them, built on what came before and always pushing toward what's next. Mocean and its owner Jasper Tripp are at the center of this culture, because like skating itself, it's never really about following a path. It's about finding your own line. I'm Nick Landano, and this is Rooted. Jasper, thanks for having me by the shop. When I walked by it the first time, I thought it would be a sweet spot to check out, especially after we chatted about the menswear line that you run, because it immediately made me think that Mocean wasn't just a retail shop. It was like truly a skate shop, brand, men's line, an expression of what you've created here in the Maine skate community. So I guess to start us off, it would be nice to get a little bit of a background of like what brought you into the skate scene, what kind of got you thinking you'd want to start a shop around it, and you know what some of the influences were on getting you to this point.
Definitely. Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, born and raised in Maine. Spent all my life here basically. Moved out west for a little, did my snowboard thing. Long story short, broke my ass, came back, and my family had owned a little, motel vibe in OOB at the time, and we started a skate shop and surf shop there. There was nothing in Portland at the time, and a couple buddies and I, started Mocean on Exchange Street. This was 2017, maybe it's 2016. Yeah, we've been on this street for 10 years. I mean, the reasoning behind that, we've been, one, I'm born and raised here. Two, there was no really shop in Portland, Maine that, was about the culture. And three, it needs it. Portland hasn't seen much of skateboarding.
Yeah, so when you said you moved out west for your snowboarding thing, were you skating at the time, and like did the West Coast skate culture sort of influence what you wanted to bring back to the East Coast?
Not really. I was, riding for Rome Snowboards at the time. We were doing this, film production thing in Tahoe called Strange Brew, and we would essentially do the same thing we're doing now, but I was doing it with snowboarding, and snowboarding is not affordable, put it that way, and I just did too much of it, and I was always a skater, a surfer, my whole life. I grew up doing it. My father's, taught me right. Mm-hmm. But no, I just moved back, and the out west didn't have much influence doing what we do here.
So when you were out west and you were snowboarding, it's cool that you mentioned that, because I said earlier how like the freestyle ski culture, that's what shaped me when I was younger, and I feel like skate culture, snowboard culture, like it all kind of gets created by the people that are in it, out there, busting their butt, like hitting rails, like getting hurt, the art, just the whole scene. So if the West Coast didn't really shape that, I guess, do you look at Mocean as kind of being your own outlet for that expression? Because I feel like within the freestyle, free ski, snowboard, skate community, there's a lot of that, where that crossover between extreme sports and art in a way.
Yeah, definitely. I think, the store alone is just a hub, and throughout the store we create, a culture and a community that is essentially tied to, or can be tied to, snowboarding and surfing. But the culture around skateboarding is fairly different than snowboarding. Not like crazy, but it's more accessible to the kids and to anyone basically. not just skateboarding, but the clothes you wear and how you express yourself skateboarding, whether that be fashion, friendship, or just, you know, everyday life.
So when you started Mocean back in 2017, did you have the idea of wanting to go down the fashion designing route, or was it something that at first you're like, this is just going to be a hub, this is going to be a cool skate shop, I'm going to sell skateboards? Like, what was kind of where was it at in 2017 compared to where it's at now?
I guess essentially 2017, we started on the second floor across the street, and I lived out of the place.
Okay, so it wasn't even like a storefront to start. It was just kind of like
it was an apartment. Yeah, so
okay, that's a cool background. You know.
Definitely started from the bottom. Yeah, it was $1,000 a month, and yeah, the people I started it with, yeah, we were into clothing, and we were into that. You know, looking nice, not even looking nice, just expressing ourselves through how we dress, skate, and go about life. But yeah, I started designing clothing probably in 2019. But before that, we were embroidering Goodwill clothes, you know, to kind of do something. We didn't have any money, you know, so we would go to Goodwill and find a nice collared shirt that had barely been worn, present it, you know, in a way that it looked like we made it, which we didn't make it, but we had say of what it was, you know, and we put our logo on it, you know.
I mean, that's how a lot of, I feel, upstart, especially clothing lines, I feel like they tend to start that way. You know, you're getting just screen prints done on random shirts you think look cool, and it slowly starts to develop. So how long were you operating out of just an apartment? Like, what were you like, did you start the brand but you didn't have the shop, or were you like selling stuff out of there? I don't know, I'm just curious about that.
It was kind of both. It was a skate shop, I lived in it, and it was also, we established an LLC at the time, and yeah, we were there for 4 years in that apartment, you know, maybe 5. Yeah, I think the last 2 years I actually started making a private label brand with, you know, woven label tags and, you know, custom garments. So that was, yeah, 2019, I think, would have been our first drop of actual Mocean private label clothing.
So was there a moment that you were in the apartment, you guys were selling some stuff, where you felt like, okay, I want to move up, like move into the big leagues? I mean, this is a sweet spot you have. You're right downtown, you're right on Exchange Street. Like, this is the most iconic shopping street in Portland. What allowed you to take that leap to say, okay, we're opening up shop?
Well, first off, I looked out the window, and this storefront we're in now was a dog store, or it was Uncommon Paws, and they had it all boarded up back here. It looked nice when they were in here, and they're right up the street now, but they needed a bigger space, so I jumped on that, and that was COVID. Definitely a scary time to move spaces, but it ended up working out. And yeah, I guess to answer your question, I visioned it being something on the ground level, envisioned it being, you know, not just a menswear, but it's unisex. You know, anyone can come in here and put a piece of clothing we designed on and feel comfortable. They don't have to skate, they don't have to do anything. They can just be a normal person that comes in, and that's what's nice about skateboarding. You don't have to skate to be friends with skaters, and same goes with surfing and snowboarding. It's more than just that, I guess.
Would you say that, out of curiosity, the people that tend to come in, and how you said this is a hub, this is like kind of a community center for Portland in a way, for the skate community, because you're right, there's not really any other place that comes to mind that does what you guys do. Do you have like a pretty strong connection to the community, and people like kind of gather here? And well, I mean, I guess that almost like goes on to the Cobble conversation, which we can talk about for a bit here, because you have really started to try to like pioneer skate culture within Portland. So I don't know if we want to talk about that for a little bit. It would be pretty
definitely.
cool.
I think something to lead into to that would be, we used to do these First Friday events, and mostly it wasn't, I guess we did it almost once a month. We would do these First Friday events, and it was a different artist who would come in and either put art up on the walls, or we rented out the next space up there and we made it a little gallery, and different artists would come in, and we would also set something up on the street and skate. It was a whole fucking party. It was a little much, but yeah, I think as we got older, those First Fridays, yeah, they were amazing in the time being. I had reached out to the city and I wanted to do this legit, and this was 6 years ago, and nothing. I partnered with Lululemon randomly and was like trying to do this Cobble to Cobble for 2 or 3 years, and they just kind of put me on the back burner a few times.
So this started back in 2019, that you were trying to get it going.
Exactly.
And just, I guess, for context, Cobble to Cobble is pretty much a skate jam on Exchange Street, walk down the street, and have a big day party, essentially.
Essentially, yeah. More of like, it's not, again, not just skateboarding, but there's vintage, art, and music, which all ties into the culture. Definitely, skateboarding for sure. We shut down the street and fucking throw a party, But, we're adults and we want to do it in a civil manner and include everyone. And it started back, I was reaching out to the city 6 years ago, and they put me on the back burner, and then I put them on the back burner for a long time. And I guess 2 years ago, I reached out and was like, all right, how are we gonna do this? And I went in there. The city of Portland is, tough to deal with it sometimes. They think I'm a degenerate skater and smoke dope and do drugs, but that's not how it is. They don't see the community around. Portland is all art, and that's what makes Portland thrive as an artistic community.
From the city's perspective, it's probably, well, what do we want to do? Close down the street so people can skate and destroy the city. But really, Portland thrives on their art scenes, their food scenes, like just the community that Portland has built. I feel like it's a small city, which, to your own benefit and to the community's benefit, it has allowed all of these types of things to foster, where people can point to Portland and say they host a really cool event for skaters every year now, or at least that's what I'm sure you wanted to do, and they were thinking, nah, that's not on the table. But you got it through. Or didn't you say you just sort of did it anyway and wanted to see what they'd say?
Kind of. Yeah. Well, that's what it was back in the day. We would just do it anyways. We would have friggin', 500 people on the street, and the cops would, one day the cop blocked it off for us, so we were just doing it because, some of the Portland cops are great guys, or, women, they would block it off for us, and we would just skate down the street till 9 o'clock at night. And I think, what happened? I reached out to the city. They kind of, put me on the back burner again 2 years ago. And I finally got a hold of someone, and he said, you got to get everyone's signature on the street to be down with it. And that's when Portland Old Port got involved. The Instagram, they're like a marketing agency. And they've been super helpful, They helped me get that thing up and running, partnered with them, and they had some girls go get all these signatures from each business on this street. And we then presented that to the city, and they couldn't say no because everyone was down for it, essentially.
Do you have it set up at this point for the upcoming year? When do you have it on the books?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be happening September 27th of this year. So 2026, September 27th. Got a couple sponsors lined up. Definitely going to do more vintage, vendors, more artists, and skateboarding mainly. and an after party. And that may be done by Red Bull or someone else. I guess we'll kind of see when the time comes. We got a couple of months of planning before that.
That's awesome. I feel like that's just going to be a really cool event for anyone. Like you said, I mean, whether you're a skater or not, like the whole idea is just to extend it to the community and
Yeah.
be able to bring in just about anyone. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't skate, but I would definitely hang out at it and watch a rail jam or something.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes it fun for, even just tourists. They can come and buy some local art or vintage or watch someone fucking break themselves off on a rail.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like you've mentioned a lot about the art influence, and kind of to go back to just a bit more about you. I'm kind of curious, are there any specific artists, musicians, things that have sort of shaped you and your vision for the skate community?
For sure, yeah. I mean, my inspiration are my friends, I think. I had the slogan, made by friends for friends, It wasn't just me who started this place. It was a bunch of, friends. It was Marty Reynolds, the artist, Jack Kyle, skater, Max, surfer, tons of people. I could go on, and those are the people who influenced me to make this a reality. And it was for them, it was for my friends. And then clothing got, really into that, and I kind of fell into inspired by vintage clothing, like true Americana from the 40s, 50s, 60s, try and make stuff how they made it then, but with a modern twist, I guess.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like a lot of businesses and some of the people that I've talked to that run other local businesses, it always seems to kind of start as, if the public likes it, great. If not, like my friends and I will love it. And it's something that we'll be able to really enjoy and hang out at, or at least feel like you've created something that you at least know a specific group is gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of, we found that group, and we found, even we're trying to grow each and every day, I think is the inspiration, trying to always one-up yourself, and whether that be from the next drop or to the next skateboarding trip or trick, whatever it may be.
I'd really like to take a look at some of what you've built and get a better idea of, your vision, how you've designed it, and how you've gotten where you're at. I mean, I'm rocking some of your gear right now, which is very nice and fits perfectly. So if we want, we could pop up, take a look at some of your stuff, and
for sure.
take a look at the shop.
Definitely.
Okay.
Game
Sweet.
for that. Let's get it.
I know that you mentioned that you are trying to create stuff, based off of real, true Americana vintage. Like, what are some of the pieces that you'd say really exemplify that, and what's been the process, and what else has sort of influenced some of the actual clothing that you've made here?
This jacket here is, the one you have on. It's kind of fun. It's this nice textured vibe. It's a linen ramie blend. So ramie is an Asian natural fiber, and it's similar to silk as far as its durability standards, maybe not softness. Yeah. But it has a fun texture, and it's based off of, that workwear vibe. It's got the shorter cut.
So that crop cut, the old classic, almost like Sherpa coat feel too.
Yeah, kind of like a biker vibe, or even, a French chore coat. But it's also, got some tweaks with the denim double prong buttons and just strange looking pockets, I guess.
So what goes into the process of designing some of these pieces?
My personal process is very old school, so I'll start with a pen and paper and draw it up. I'll draw up something or find an old t-shirt that I really like from the 50s, and that's what this is kind of based off of, as we call it the Dean tee. Got kind of a shorter sleeve, it's got the details and the single stitch. Just the fit and the silhouette is based off of an old 50s style t-shirt. But the process is tedious, it goes into sampling and could take 20 samples to get, you know, this pant dialed, which it kind of did. The linen pant, this is our, you know, summer pant, spring summer pant. It's got the pleats. This even goes back to the 20s, and this was a buckle back. Some of the first pair of Levi's ever made. This was a belt.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you just cinch it right off the back of the
Yeah, so that was a belt before belts, and I just thought it, you know, it made a nice silhouette, and it gives it a, you know, something to be like, oh, what the fuck is that? You know?
Do you have any of like those sketches you could show us from your book that's not too like behind the scene? If it's
I probably have a couple sketches I can grab, yeah.
Yeah, if we're able to take a look into the book.
A few. I typically start with the waist, and I go 28 to 38 in increments of, you know, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, and 38. The big measurements, you know, are really just inseam, hip, thigh, leg opening, and your rises. But, you know, this is just a first sketch of those linen pants. You know, this is an old...
Must be pretty cool actually seeing these things come to life, like after you send it off and you're like, okay, well, I mean, because this is just existing in your head and on paper until you actually get it in front of you.
That's the most fun, you know, that's where I have the most fun personally, is seeing it come to life. What do we got here? Oh, here's your Dean t-shirt, or your, oh, this is a 60s, 70s one. This may not be the Dean one. I can't remember what I got in here. Huh. But it's kind of fun, you know, there's tons of measurements on this. Just from this little piece is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Plus there's the size of your cuffs. And
are you basing this off of like an existing shirt you thought was really nice, or are you just like coming up with these measurements?
Kind of both. Yeah, I'll take a, like I said, a 50 shirt, and if you know the sleeve opening is too tight, I'll tweak it an inch, or I'm like, oh, that could have been this, or that could have been that, you know, down to the little details, to the stitching and the collar size. I guess there's so much random stuff that's where it gets really fun as far as, you know, designing stuff. Here's some old Cobble stuff. This was the Red Bull feature. It was a 15-foot long spine. It was about 2.5 to 3 feet tall, and typically spines are, you know, going this way, but this one was skated downhill.
Yeah, you mentioned that you guys are having it all built. So like you're custom building all the stuff for Cobble.
Yeah. So
kind of have to go and design all that too.
Yeah, we design it, me and whoever other homies want to, and then Hawthorne and Matt CV. We have some great, you know, construction and carpenters that know what they're doing, that build, you know, build houses.
Worked on that before.
Yeah. Display table. You never know what you're gonna
like
find.
An old one, kind of inspired over there.
I think so. Like I said, I'm kind of old school. All these guys design it on their computers, and we like to do it pen and paper. Yeah, the brain kind of goes crazy, but then can, you know, dialing it or executing it is the hard part. We do try to have a board graphic, you know, each year, whether that be from a local artist or photographer or whatever. The last artist we did was
what was last year's / this year's?
Was B. B is dope. She's a local cat, and she does beautiful work. This was like, she gave me a huge painting. This is a fun take of a kind of abstract drawing, or, you know, airbrush of the Portland water fountain in the background.
Oh,
kind of see the water
yeah.
coming down.
That's cool. So you do like one each year of like a special sort of like Portland inspired, local inspired design.
Yeah, kind of like a guest artist or something. You know, we'll always have a board graphic, you know, available. And I think just basing that around the community is everything. You know, what does the community want, and what do the friends want, and not just me designing something, giving them a little piece of the pot, you know, and getting, you know, a local artist to do a graphic, or a First Friday show with, you know, extremely high-end oil paintings, kind of bringing that high-end vibe and setting it in a place where it doesn't belong.
Yeah.
I think is the fun aspect of it.
Just looking back, is this what you envisioned, to be where you're at now?
Kind of, yes, definitely. I envisioned, a rack like we see over here full of Mocean clothing and a big painting from a local artist. And it was, not to have so much stuff, but, to have good stuff and stuff that we feel proud of and I feel proud of. Looking back at it, this is definitely what I envisioned.
Are there any things that you would have changed along the journey, or anything that, looking back, you think might have been, I don't know, missed opportunity, or something that you want to really tackle in the future, just based off of the past experiences?
Well, I mean, like anyone, yeah, you live and you learn, I think there's definitely ups and downs, and we've done our bads, we've done our goods, but again, I think just trying to one-up yourself each year, and each year is how we're going to progress and, making that community bigger.
One final thing is, if someone, they don't even have to be in Maine, but like if someone wanted to get into this, skate shop, clothing design, like what type of advice would you give anyone out there?
Oh, advice would just be inspiring others to inspire themselves. No, that doesn't make sense. I don't fucking know. I think just, the piece of advice would be to, inspire others, whether that's through designing clothing or, owning a skate shop, and, really give it your all. And if you truly want it, go out and get it and try to inspire other people by doing what you're doing
Yeah, and you let a lot of other people inspire you, which helped create what you've created.
Yeah.
So I think maybe having that open mind to other people's styles, views, like, it seems like that's what's gotten you pretty far with this as well.
Yeah, and I think, someone sees something they like that, we have created, then maybe they want to tweak it a little, and create something that someone else likes, and, oh, it could change here, or, could have done that. Well, then go do it.
Over time, some shops become more than what they sell. They settle in, becoming part of the rhythm of a city. Right here in the Old Port, Mocean is one of those places. A shop built on style, community, and a willingness to do things differently. I'm Nick Landano, and this is Rooted.